Hey guys, it's Friday night. Welcome back to the Man Cave. Awesome GRC Jack Daniel's Single Barrel. Welcome aboard. It's Friday. It's been a interesting week here at the Man Cave. Man Cave. We've had about, I think, 5 or 5.5 inches of rain here this week over about three different uh, short rains. It's been heavy. My grass grew about 6 inches, I think, since last Friday when I cut it. But we've settled down. I got the grass cut yesterday before it rained again. So got some cooking done this week, and it's Friday, and I'm really looking forward to having a chat with you guys tonight. Randy, glad you could make it. Russ is here with us as well. So a glass of red blend wine from Chile. Well, I'm going to have my usual tonight. I'm going to have some Jack Daniel's Single Barrel Select. My wife and I were out and about earlier today, and I stopped at a ABC store here in North Carolina to look, see if they had anything interesting, and they didn't. But they had the Jack Daniel's Single Barrel Select gift boxes back out, and this is one of my favorite whiskey and bourbon glasses right here. I use this one a lot, and this is a glass that I don't know if you can see that or not. It's got the Jack Daniel's Single Barrel logo etched in the bottom of it. This glass came in a gift box, and I noticed they had those back out, so I want to work my way through the rest of this bottle and then try to pick one of those up, because I'd just like to have a second one of these glasses. So we're gonna get a couple fingers of one of my favorites here in this glass. Cheers. It's Friday. Hank, glad you could make it with us. That's good stuff. Freddie's here. Avery Wood Oven, Boston. I bought the camera. I think you saw that. I've got a new camera toy that I've been playing with, and it's based on one that Freddie has there. It's one of these 360-degree cameras. Scott, glad you could be here with us. It's a neat camera. It shoots in 360 degrees, so you've got video from any angle you want to look at when you're editing it in post-processing. I've been playing around with it, learning how to do some of the editing, and you're going to see some content coming online from that camera fairly soon. Alan from Melbourne, glad you could make it. It's a sunny Saturday morning in Australia. Nice. So, yeah. Andrew Bushmills. Okay. What was it I saw you cook this week, Andrew, that I liked? I like everything I see you post about, but there was something you posted this week that I thought looked really good. Guys, you're going to have to keep up with Andrew. Courtney, glad you could make it. Andrew makes some incredible stuff. Oh, Michael, that's too bad. I hate to hear that. That's not a good situation. Sam Adams in a Dunkin' Donuts cup to prove that he belongs in Boston. Well, Sam Adams makes a few brews that I like, and I can't get them around here. But yeah, I like Samuel Adams. To be quite honest, that Boston Lager is an excellent beer. It's really a solid beer. Yes, the scallops. That's what it was, Andrew. I remember now. I love scallops. I don't do them very often, but I think I'm going to pick some up. I need to figure out when my Costco is going to have one of those seafood road shows where I can get my hands on some of those really big, fat scallops. Because if I'm going to cook scallops, I want them big. I want them at least the diameter of a silver dollar. You know, a nice fat one. We'll do some scallops sometime, and they're expensive, but I don't buy them that often. So next time I I see them, I'll get a pound or two. The scallops that I have available to me, I don't know. Occasionally, Sam's Club will have some decent looking ones. I'll have to keep my eye open there also. Mm. Stephen Hickey's with us, thinking about an ice cold girly vodka martini tonight. Now, Stephen, you're going to have to explain this to me. Why is it too hot for bourbon? What does the temperature outside have to do with what you're drinking? That sounds like a Tennessee excuse to me, brother. And I'm going to talk about you here in a little bit also. My good friend Steven sent me a gift in the mail last week that we're gonna talk about here in a little bit as well. So, Steven, I bought a bottle of vodka yesterday. I was in my local ABC store because it was truck day. They didn't have anything that excited me, but they had some of the vodka that's produced by Buffalo Trace. It's called the Wheatley vodka, and I bought a bottle of that because I've got 20 or 25 vanilla beans I'm going to drop in it, and have a second bottle of vodka-based vanilla extract, something refreshing. Well, let's see what Tanya's got going. Tanya, I'm going to bring you online here with me. What did you make a coffee?
I did.
What are you having?
Tonight.
Cappuccino.
Yeah,
I had to you already drank all of it, or is that just a huge glass?
Well, one, it's a huge glass, and two, I had to drink pretty fast because I had both Lily and Meryl up here hoping to get into the phone.
Did you put some of that Kahlua in it that I bought for you?
I did not. I forgot about that.
When I was getting ready to go in the liquor store yesterday, I asked Tanya, I said, do you want anything? And she says Kahlua. So I got Kahlua. Any alcoholic concoctions on the Jura? I don't know.
Not yet.
You could put anything you want in whatever comes out of it. But like I said, Tanya's got a bottle of the Kahlua. I probably should pick her up a bottle of the Bailey's Irish Cream also. And
oh gosh, I don't know. You know, the last time I had Bailey's Irish Cream, and y'all are gonna laugh, I really got tanked. It was at a Haagen-Dazs in New Orleans, and I didn't realize there was actually alcohol in this shake concoction that they made. I was just sipping it, going, "Oh my gosh, this is really good." And I was in this shopping center, and I did something really unusual for me. I started shopping, and I was window shopping, and I was buying shoes. I bought 4 pairs of shoes that had heels. Y'all, I don't wear heels. Anyway, all this is going crazy, and I'm like, oh my gosh, and I'm feeling really good. And then I figure out, holy cow, I'm drunk.
See, Tanya doesn't drink often, and when she does, it's just a sip or two. So she does not, alcohol does not take control of Tanya very often. So I guess that time when it did, she didn't realize it. So
well, I didn't realize there was alcohol in it. I thought it was, just the ice cream was flavored. Stupid me. Duh, you're in New Orleans. Everything's going to have alcohol in it. But I didn't put 2 and 2 together.
That's true. I'm going to drop you back down. We'll bring you back on here in a little bit. So let's see. Where are we here? So Stephen, I upped his game for him there. I didn't let him succumb to a martini tonight. There you go. Tennessee whiskey. All righty. A nice cold beer to wash it down. There you go. All right. Well, what am I going to talk about tonight? I guess I want to start out with some of the stuff I cooked. I don't know where I left off last. I'm just going to pick up with this version of steak au poivre that I did last week. And this is another influence from Stephen Hickey. Stephen was doing some of this a while back, and I've never done au poivre before. It's a pepper steak. It's a sauce, a steak that's got you know, a good bit of pepper on it when you cook it, and then you make a sauce that's pepper heavy as well. I'd never done it before, so this is I made video of this that's already been published. You can go look that up if you want to, but this is one of the very rare situations where I made a video and what I was doing I had not done before. I've cooked plenty of tri-tips. This is a tri-tip that I got from Porter Road, and this was a rather small one. This one was right at 2 pounds. And the other interesting thing about this tri-tip, if you look at this picture here, all of the grains running lengthwise in that tri-tip, and that's a little bit odd for a tri-tip. So, but the ticket is, I did salt, pepper, and garlic on this. Underneath all this coarsely cracked black pepper that you see here, there's some coarse kosher salt and some granulated garlic. And I put that under vacuum seal and let it ride in the refrigerator like that for about 24 hours before I cooked. And these are the ingredients that I had setting up ready to go for this au poivre sauce. And what that is it's a cream sauce that has a lot of black pepper in it. So the ingredients that you see here are heavy cream, and underneath that is beef stock or beef broth. And then there's some butter hiding in there. There's black pepper, and in these two little jars, I've got some minced garlic and some minced shallots, and I've got bourbon there. I didn't have any cognac on hand, and I didn't want to go buy a bottle of cognac. The traditional au poivre is made with Stephen, you can correct me if I'm wrong here. It's made with cognac or white wine, and I don't have either of those on hand. I've got a little red wine on hand, but I didn't really think red wine was appropriate for this. But I've got bourbon, and it didn't need much, so I just used a little bit of bourbon, and we had a bourbon cream sauce here for this project. But anyway, I used my PK 360 to do this cook, and I used my I've got one of the small Weber charcoal chimneys, and I just fired it up and got a good small bed of coals under one side of the grill where I could take this tri-tip and just sear it on the outside. And I basically just kept this thing turning, and I didn't let it sit for any length of time without turning it until I got a char on the outside that I was happy with. And then I moved it over to the other side of the grill and just let it finish cooking indirect until I got the temperature up to about, I think I stopped about 105. Or no, once I got it over here, I let it come on up to 120 or so, 120 to 125. And then I made my sauce. And if you want to see the process of how this sauce was made, you'll need to watch the video. But it's a real simple sauce. I melted the butter in the pan and then sauteed the shallots and the garlic a little bit. And then I added my black pepper and let the black pepper become fragrant. Then I put my bourbon in. And then I got a little bit of a flambe going on the bourbon. And then I put my beef stock in, or my beef broth, and turned the heat back. And I just let that reduce. I let that reduce until my beef broth had reduced by about half. And when I got to that point, I put my cream in, and I let that come up to a simmer. And I just kept my eye on it until I had the thickness and consistency I wanted before I pulled the sauce off the heat. But I was making the sauce while this tri-tip was finishing on the indirect side of the grill. And Adam, I'll come back and talk about that induction burner here in just a second. I love that thing, and it's great when I want to have a burner outside. Maybe that's something I need to do a gadget talk on at some point. But when my steak was finished, I pulled it off, and here's what I ended up with. This is a pretty good medium rare. I've got, a little bit of gray on the outside because I was cooking the outside over some direct flame. But I'm real happy with what I got here. And then I just sliced that guy down the length of that, and then sauced it with the au poivre. And this was amazing. This also is not the traditional way this is done. Obviously, steak au poivre is not normally done with a tri-tip. Normally, it's done with a fillet or a tenderloin, or you can do it with strips, but normally this whole thing's done in a pan. And normally what's happening is the steak gets cooked in the pan as well. The steaks aren't cooked on the grill. You cook your steak in the pan with some butter and oil, and when your steak has the sear on it on both sides that you want, you pull it off, and then you drain that butter out of the pan and put some fresh butter in, because that butter is going to have over browned by the time you start cooking your steak. But the traditional way is you deglaze that pan with a little bit more fresh butter, and then you put your shallots and your garlic in there, and then your black pepper, and then your bourbon and whatnot, where you've got the pan fond that's going to be worked into your sauce as well. That brings a flavor element to the sauce that I don't have in this one, because I did not cook in a pan. I thought about cooking in a pan, but if I cook something like that in a pan, I'm going to get eaten up with comments about why did you even bother cooking it on the grill. So I just decided to go ahead and cook it on the grill. But this is the finished product. This sauce is delicious. This is a beautiful sauce, and I'm going to play with this sauce some more. I think this sauce would also be great on pork. So you can do savory with pork, but I think if you had some really thick pork loin chops or even bone-in chops, I think this would be a good sauce there as well. So that came out extremely well. I was very happy with that. And that tenderloin, or that tri-tip, once again, I bought that from Porter Road, and that's probably the fourth or fifth tri-tip I've bought from Porter Road, but I've never been let down with those. They're incredible. Yeah, Steven says he's used brandy as well. I think no, it's not as important, but I kind of like it. You can taste it. I could taste it in there at the end. I think I put 2 or 3 tablespoons of bourbon in mine. So with the flambe, I got all the alcohol out of it, but I quickly after that got the beef broth in there. So it hung on. It did pretty well. So let's see, where am I now? Okay, the next thing, we're going to have the gadget spot here a little early rather than at the end, because I got my photos out of order, it looks like. As some of you know, ThermoWorks has put out a new ThermoPen. They call this the ThermoPen 1, and they call it the ThermoPen 1 because it's supposed to give you readings in 1 second or less. This is not an upgrade per se of the Mark IV. This, I believe, I might be wrong, but this my idea here is that this is a replacement for the Mark IV, because before ThermoWorks released this, they had a big sale on Mark IVs, and they were blowing out their inventory of Mark IVs at like $65, which was a bargain, because these things are $100 to $105. But I decided I do like I do. I'm going to go ahead and buy one. I got the Mark I, and I did some testing with it to see how it performed. I didn't make video of this testing, but I set up a sous vide bath, which is the same way I did when I set up my video, when I did my video where I tested that whole stack of thermometers to figure out how fast they were. I set my sous vide bath at 155.5 degrees with my Innova Pro in the Innova 12-quart tank. And just to make sure I'm accurate there, both of these thermometers were on target, within a tenth of a degree or two of that temperature. And the reason I set it at 155.5 is because I wanted to test to 155. I wanted to see how long it took these thermometers to go from ambient temperature, which in my man cave kitchen was right at 72 degrees when I did this test. Uh, and I used a handheld stopwatch to get these times. So, these aren't entirely scientific testing, but I did 5 tests on each one, and you can see here that there's not a huge difference. I didn't see a huge difference in these two. And the main reason I bought this, I wasn't going to buy one of these, but Tom Horseman, if you guys remember, I had Tom on with me a while back. Tom got the one, and he was doing tests. He did some videos, and he was testing his in 32-degree water, and it was not giving him adequate read times either. His was slow, and so I said, well, I'm gonna buy one of these things and see how it works. So I bought it, and I did this testing. So the one was consistently 1.7 and 1.6 seconds from my ambient temperature to 155 degrees Fahrenheit in the water. The Mark IV, you see there, I got two 1.8s, a 2.1, and then two 1.6s. So in my mind, these things aren't significantly different, and it doesn't really matter to me that that the one is not reading in a second, because to me that's just an insignificant thing. It doesn't matter. But this is one of those things that, no, I didn't need another thermometer, but people ask me these questions. I get asked, John, should I buy the Thermapen? And I don't feel comfortable saying yes or no on a question like that if I don't have one, and if I don't have hands-on experience with it. And if I don't, when I get asked these questions, if I don't have hands-on experience, that's the first thing I tell you. I say, well, I don't have hands-on experience. Then I'll say, but I've heard this and I've seen that. But with this one, I wanted to have the hands-on experience. So if you're going to ask me if you should buy a Thermapen, my answer to that question is Thermapen is the benchmark gold standard in instant read thermometers, by which all other instant read thermometers are judged. In my opinion, you can't go wrong. If you've got $105 that you can drop on a thermometer, then yeah, go ahead and get one. My go-to thermometer here in the man cave is this one. This is the Javelin Pro Duo that's made by a company called Lava Tools, and this thermometer is as fast as the Mark IV. And for a size comparison, I don't know if this is going to be a real good. They're basically the same size, basically the same thickness. The Thermapen is slightly heavier than the Lava Tools thermometer, but this thermometer, when I did my previous testing, yes, Rick, I'm still using the Javelin. This is the thermometer that stays in my pocket when I'm on the deck, when I'm outside cooking. I use this one because I want to recommend this one, because this is $55. This is basically half the price of the Thermapen. Thermapens periodically go on sale, so yeah, I can't really say that a Thermapen costs $105. Most of the time, hey Andy, glad you could make it. Most of the time, the Thermapen is $105, but they go on sale for $89 fairly often. So, this is $35 less, and I will put this thermometer up against any Thermapen any day. And if this one was as fast as my Mark IV when I tested it, the readings on this one were actually, just a hair faster than the Mark IV. And this guy right here, this is the one I recommend, simply because I'm going to save you $50 if I can convince you to buy this over the Thermapen. And $50 is something you can spend somewhere else and have two nice things instead of just one if you got $100 to spend. But yeah, I've got too many thermometers. I've got a lot of good thermometers. There's another thermometer that's $39. That's the ThermoPro. I think it's called the TP19, and I've got one of them around here somewhere. but I don't it in terms of durability, I don't feel that it's as durable. It works as well, it's as fast, and it's as accurate. I think it's got a little bit of a durability uh, deficit when you're comparing it to the Thermopin and this Javelin. But I'll put this Javelin up against the Thermopin any day. And one thing I do like about the Javelin's got a magnet built in where you can stick it on the side of something. The Thermopins do not. If you want a magnet for the Thermopin, you've got to buy the $13 neoprene sleeve that it goes in. I think it has a magnet in it, but I like that. And that has nothing to do with how well it does its job, but I like to slap my thermometer on the side of something metal, on the side of my oven hood back there, or on the side of my grill table, or on the side of the wood-fired oven where it's right there, and all I have to do is grab it. You can't do that with a Thermopin. You just got to stick it in your pocket. But that's that. That's all I wanted to say about thermometers. So Andrew said he's got some thermopops. I've got 3 thermopops. And that's a $29 20 or those, Andrew, I think those are 29. Those are $30. They are accurate, they're fast. They're about a 2.5 to 3 second thermometer, but that's fast enough. If a second and a half on getting the temperature is going to make or break anything you're doing, something's wrong. The thermopop is good. The thing I don't like about the thermopop in my use is it has its little slit. It doesn't fold up. The thermopop's probe is permanently out, and it doesn't fold up, and you have to keep it in a sleeve to keep the point protected. And because of that, it takes a little longer to get it in and out of your pocket, to get the sleeve on and off. Normally, when I used my thermopops for a long time, and I recommended them until I got tired of that. So I like the ones that fold up and let the probe go back in to where it's not sticking out and going to hit anything. But the thermopop's an excellent thermometer. Yeah. Steven sent me a Thermopro, or sent me a Javelin, and yeah, I sent Steven the Thermopro to try out, but it's not as good as the Javelin. The Javelin's a better thermometer. And Jeffrey, I do have a meter. I have a meter plus, and I don't like it at all. The Bluetooth range on it, in my opinion, is inadequate. And unless you're going to employ a third-party Wi-Fi device to where you can bring it on Wi-Fi, in my opinion, it's unusable, or it's unusable for me here. I don't like it. That's an awful lot of money, and I've got absolutely nothing where I think I need a wireless probe inside my grill. I would never be cooking anything on my rotisserie that I couldn't stop the rotisserie and check it. I don't. That's the only thing I think people want these wireless probes for, so they can run it on a rotisserie. And to me, it's not worth that kind of money to have that functionality. But that's another story. We'll talk about that later. I want to hit briefly. Adam asked me about the induction burner that I use outside. I have 2 induction burners, but the one that I use most is one that Tanya bought me for Christmas a while back, or a birthday or something. It's a Copper Chef brand. Yeah, it's a Copper Chef brand that came probably from Bed Bath and Beyond. Or she may have ordered it somewhere, but Bed Bath and Beyond carried those at the time. And I have used mine for deep frying, Adam. I've never tried 250 and 300 for deep frying. When I'm deep frying, I'm always up above 350. I'm between 350 and 400 when I'm deep frying, and it does a pretty good job. I use one of my thermometers to check the temperature, because the setting on the Copper Chef is not 100% accurate. I find that when I'm deep frying, my oil temperature is 25 to 40 degrees hotter than what I've actually got it set for. So when you get one of these induction burners, you have to look at it and you have to learn its personality and learn where that's going to be, because you do not want to run your cooking oil up to 450 by accident. It's not a good idea. There's a lot of bad things that can happen when your oil gets too hot. But yeah, it works great for deep frying. I've deep fried in a Dutch oven outside with mine many times, and it works great. A Fireboard fan. Yes, Rick, I do have the Fireboard fan. I love it. I use it on my Kamados. I use it on the Kamado Joe Classics. It's the most durable pit fan I've ever used. And the pit fans that I have used include this one, the Pit Viper from Barbecue Guru, and the fans that come with the barbecue, or not the fans that come with the Flame Boss. The Flame Boss 400 and the Flame Boss 500, the fans basically the same, and those fans are a little flimsy, but they work. But the durability on this Fireboard fan is incredible. Hey, Ed, glad you could make it with us tonight also. All right, let me get back to my pictures here. Okay. This is something I wanted to show. I made some, Tanya and I like sloppy joes. And I made some sloppy joes this week. And one of the things I wanted to show you guys tonight is that the microplane grater is an amazing tool. I use it when I need to mince things. Hey, Margaret's my sister. She's coming in here with us tonight. I use the microplane grater to mince some jalapeno pepper and also some garlic. And this is a trick that I learned from Adam Perry Lang. I don't know if you guys remember who he is. He's written a couple of really great books on barbecue. I've got one called Serious Barbecue, and I think the Serious Barbecue book is where I learned this technique about using the microplane grater to mince garlic. And it's become my go-to method for mincing. I often mince garlic. I most often mince garlic this way, but like I showed you here, I mince some jalapeno pepper. I also mince onion that way sometime. But I browned up 2 pounds of ground beef, and then put my onion, my minced garlic, my minced jalapeno pepper in there. Got it all nice and brown. Ketchup, mustard, and a little Worcestershire sauce. And on this particular batch, I decided to use Atlanta Grill Company's Toreo. This is like it says here, it's a Taco Tuesday plus fajita blend. This is like a taco seasoning, and this seasoning worked very well in the sloppy joes. I was very impressed with it. This, with the exception of the texture that I made here, this could work as taco meat. If I was going to use it as taco meat, I would have put less ketchup in it to let it be a little thicker. So anyway, you cook it. I let it simmer for a while after I get it good and hot, and I toasted up a few buns in the pan. And Tanya and I had sloppy joes for dinner one night this week with some potato wedges, and the potato wedges got seasoned up with the Atlanta Grill Company's Himalayan Sherpa, which is their salt, pepper, and garlic blend that I love so much. This is the book that Stephen Hickey sent me in the mail a week or two ago. It's called The Great American Burger Book. And I want to tell you, you might want to grab this if you're interested in hamburgers. Stephen sent me this book. He says, give me your opinion on it. He says, I've got one in my cart, thinking about getting it. And as soon as I got it, I spent 30 minutes or so thumbing through it, and I sent him a message thanking him for the book and said, yeah, you might want to grab this one. I said, this has got a lot of great stuff in it, not only about recipes, but about burger cooking methods. It's got some really cool stuff in it. And this book has inspired me to want to do a video series on burgers, and Stephen had mentioned that it might have that impact on me. So one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to try to do in the coming months. I'm going to try to do 2 videos a week for Atlanta Grill Company for a while instead of just one, where one of them is going to be a burger video that employs something out of this book. And one of the things about this book is it's got a whole bunch of what they call regional burger favorites in here. So the Juicy Lucy's in here, and smash burgers and stuff like that. But the first regional burger that was listed in the book was a Texas smoked burger. So I decided I'm going to try that technique. So I got 2 burger patties ready. This is just 80-20 ground chuck. And don't hate me for this, but I'm a big fan of using burger presses to form my patties. I just have good luck that it always works well for me. So, and I made 6-ounce patties out of these. And I fired up my classic, and the technique in the book says 225. So I said, I'm going to try it. I didn't have high hopes for what these results were going to be, but I put these patties in my big cast iron pan and let them go in there for about 30 minutes for the first part. And then 30 minutes in, I came back out, and this is what you have. And then I put a couple of onion slices in here. I melted a little extra butter into the pan and kind of mixed it in with some of the burger grease that I had. But I also seasoned those onions with a little bit of the Himalayan Sherpa as well. I forgot to tell you, I seasoned this ground beef. I put some Himalayan Sherpa in the ground beef itself, but I also put some ranch dressing mix. And that was not called for in this recipe that was in this book, but that's something I learned in another book that I've got somewhere. It's a Myron Mixon book. Myron makes a smoked burger that's got ranch dressing mix in it, and it's really good. And it's just a thought, keep that in the back of your mind. But then I fired up my gas grill since my Kamado wasn't running hot enough, and I toasted some buns. And when I toast these hamburger buns, I put a very thin smear of mayonnaise on the inside of that bun and throw it over the heat and toast them. And then close to the end of this cook, we're about 50 minutes in at this point on these burgers. I threw a slice of cheddar on top of each one of those. And on the bottom side of my buns, I put a little bit of barbecue sauce and then lay the patty on the bun. Lay my grilled onion in there. And on mine, kosher dill pickles. Tanya doesn't like koshers. Tanya doesn't do pickles on her burgers, but I got to have pickles on mine, so that's what I got. And I had some everything seasoning burger buns that I picked up at the grocery store. I don't remember what brand these were, but they have the everything bagel on them, and these burgers were good. They were really good. Now, I've done smoked burgers before. I've never done smoked burgers at 225, and the result I got at 225 is exactly what I expected it to be. These burgers tasted fine. They were extremely tender and juicy. That 225 gives you that. It's not cooking. It's not getting all the fat to render out of the burger. It's leaving enough in there where this is really an extremely juicy burger. But I'm going to do this again, probably this coming week, and go back to 300 or 325 on the smoke, because that's hot enough that I get a little bit of a crust on the outside of the burger. There'll be a compromise there between crust and moist. So it'll be a fun test to see which one I like better. But you don't get any kind of crust on the outside of the burger when you smoke it at 225. It's just cooked. So, but this is apparently a thing in Texas at some places. It's and the recipe in the book didn't talk about seasoning the meat there with anything but salt, and they used onions, barbecue sauce. I can't remember what else went in it without going back and looking. It may have had pickles on it. So, but this was an incredibly good burger. You might want to consider that book if you're interested in learning some great ways to make burgers. There's a lot of stuff in there, and I'm going to use that book kind of as a guideline for the burger series of stuff that I'm going to do and make videos on. So if you want some of the stuff in there, I may do it exactly as written, or I may turn it into something like this where I put my own spin on some of it. But that's that. Yesterday, the cooking video that I put out today, we talked about the sweet potatoes thing. You guys that have been with me for a while know that I went through this with Brussels sprouts. I don't like Brussels sprouts. I don't like sweet potatoes, but now I like both of these. And this is what I did. I took these sweet potatoes and I diced them, and I tossed them in a greased cast iron pan. But what you don't have here is the steps that happen. This video just came out today, so if you want to look at the whole process, go check this video out. After I diced those sweet potatoes, I left the skin on because I eat skin on russets also, and skin on any kind of potato, I'll leave the skins on. That's just me. If you don't like that, then cut them off. But dice your potatoes kind of chunky like this. And I melted some butter, and I also took the juice of about a half of a lemon, and I put the butter and the lemon juice in a mixing bowl with these, and I just tossed them to get these things coated in butter and lemon juice. And then I stuck them in. I also, while I had them in my mixing bowl, I had some chili powder, and I put a little bit of extra ground cumin in my chili powder, and I shook chili powder all over these and just kept tossing them until I got a good coat. That's the dark stuff that you can see on there. Then I dumped them in my pan, and I sprinkled kosher salt all over the top of that. And then we tossed them in the Kamado Joe. And I used the Dojo because the Dojo, it makes a better roasting oven with the Dojo. Since the heat's not escaping from the top and it's coming back down over the surface of the meat, it does a much better job, or the surface of whatever you're cooking. And these roasted sweet potatoes, with that savory element brought from the chili powder, the cumin, and the butter, was fantastic. And the difference between this and the last time I did this was the lemon juice. Tanya and I, when we were out in California last week or the week before, we had breakfast I can't remember the name of the place we ate breakfast, but they had home fries on the breakfast plate. And something about those home fries caught my attention, and it had a brightness to it that I wasn't used to. And I asked the cook, I said, do those have lemon juice on them? And he said, yeah. And I said, that's amazing. I said, that brings a great brightness. So I put the lemon juice here, and I'm sold. I will not do this. I will not do this style of potatoes of any kind again without putting some lemon juice in there. It's well worth the effort to do that. It just brings a flavor element. You just have to try it. Okay, where am I out of pictures now? I think I'm out of pictures. So we've been through everything I wanted to talk about in the pictures. Okay, let's get rid of that. So, let's see. Yeah, Margaret's asking what I'm having. I'm having the Jack Daniel's Single Barrel Select tonight. And Eric says he likes the smoked Gouda. Janice, I used half, just a juice of half of a lemon on this one. I think a whole lemon would have been a little bit too much, and I probably could have backed off from a half just a little bit. Do it to taste. The first time you do it, I'd say use 2 tablespoons of lemon juice for 2 sweet potatoes, and see where you think that falls. It's definitely per taste. I can't really tell you exactly how much chili powder or exactly how much ground cumin I used either, but for this, Chef Eric, Chef Eric Gephardt, one of the time I cooked with him and we did some videos, he made some potato wedges that had lemon juice and ground cumin on them, and that was all. Uh, and he cooked those on a soapstone where you put the flat side of the wedge down to where you get some good sear and char on it, then flipped it, and he just squeezed lemon juice over the top of them and ground cumin, and those things were amazing. So since then, I've been a fan of cumin on potato, but it took until now till I actually tried the lemon juice. So, where else are we? Yeah, sweet potatoes. I think I can't remember I can't remember if I've had Tanya try these or not. I don't think Tanya got to try this batch, so I'll try them on Tanya, or I may do the. I think I might do the exact same thing for her with russets to begin with, and if she likes that, then I'll try it with sweet potatoes. And what I'm wondering is, you could potentially pull off both. You know, you could do this, use one sweet potato, one russet, and cook them together. Your ultimately your cook time is going to be about the same when you dice these things down like that. The russets may cook a little slightly faster. The sweet potatoes are a little denser than the russets, but the first time I did this with the sweet potatoes, I did it in my toaster oven, my Breville Smart oven, and what didn't come through for me on my Kamado that I really wanted was a little charring. I didn't even with the Dojo, I didn't get much charring on those, and charring a little bit of char on those things would have been really good. So that's one of the things. I'm just going to be upfront and say it. You guys know I love Kamado grills, but Kamado grills are horrible when it comes to browning something like this and getting it just the way you want it. It works better with the Dojo, and it works better on cheese stuff. Cheese browns a lot better. Pizzas brown a lot better when you do this with a Dojo, but I just couldn't get this to brown up quite the way I wanted it to. And when I do this again, I will be doing it in my oven uh, because I'll put it on the convection mode and run it at 425-ish, and it'll brown. I'll get char. I'll get little black bubbles all over those things, and it'll be incredible. So keep that in mind. But you know how we are. We like to cook on our grills. We look for excuses to cook on the grill rather than to not cook on the grill. So, but yeah, this is worthy of a video sometime, and maybe a whole nother conversation about browning on a Kamado. I've cooked lasagnas on the Kamado. I've cooked, macaroni and cheeses. I've cooked all kind of things on the Kamado where I want it to brown up nicely on top. And it's really, really difficult to get that to happen when your heat's leaving through the top vent. The Dojo improves the performance of that significantly, but still in some cases like this, it doesn't pan out like you want it to. So don't be afraid to say that the Kamado's not great at everything. The Kamado's, I told somebody today, I said the Kamado's like a Swiss Army knife. It's pretty good at a lot of things, and it's really good at some things. It's not really good at everything, though. There are some places where it falls short. Yeah, Stephen, that would be good. Onion, you can't go wrong with onions and potatoes. Uh, and dice it down even smaller. This was a large dice. You could dice this down, into half inch or even smaller, maybe even a quarter inch dice would be a little tight. You can make a hash, a sweet potato hash. That might be something to pull off. Yeah, Andrew, the alpha browns, the alpha browns when you don't want it to. You got to keep your eye on that guy. And I'll do this in the alpha. Now that you mention it, I should do that. What I'm curious about is if I can figure out a way. Now, keep this in mind. You guys know I don't like sweet potatoes. I don't like Brussels sprouts. But I wonder if there's a way I can integrate sweet potatoes and Brussels sprouts in the same pan and get them both going, because these guys are kind of, we're coming into the time of year where Brussels sprouts are kind of a fall thing, a late summer, early fall, and so are sweet potatoes. They're that's the time of year those things are popular, and I'm wondering if I can come up with a way to do them together and have sweet potatoes and Brussels sprouts in the same pan. If you got some ideas on that, let me know. Let me know what you think. The Brussels sprouts cook faster than the sweet potatoes. I don't think I could get away with having a Brussels sprout in a 400 to 425 degree oven for half an hour. I might be able to. The Brussels sprouts that I did before, I par cooked those basically I steamed them. That 10-minute steam goes an incredibly long way towards cooking a Brussels sprout. So a root roast. Yeah, maybe some other stuff in there with it, Stephen. Maybe some parsnips. What could my wife likes daikon. Tanya, could daikon play a role in a dish like that?
I don't know, because I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I'm obsessed with pickled daikon.
Mm-hmm.
And that is like,
work in this.
That wouldn't work in that, but
too much water. Yeah.
It might. I mean,
too much liquid.
You could probably toss a turnip in there.
Are you going to make me learn to like turnips too?
Well, I don't even know if I like turnips. I'll be honest with you. I've always been kind of suspicious of turnips, and I have never actually tried them.
Tanya, when I was a kid, this is a story you haven't heard before. I lived where my mom lives now, the house we used to live in, I had a friend on the other side, on the street behind us, and the old guy that lived next door to her had a garden. And actually, I'm sorry, I'm not thinking about turnips. I'm thinking about radishes. My friend Mandy would go into this guy's garden and pull radishes out and wipe the dirt off of them and eat them. And that was the first time I tasted a radish, and I couldn't handle it. So maybe I need to look at I need to look into radishes or turnips. And I like squash. I don't have a problem with squash, so I could do something else, but that's not a root vegetable. So,
well, Margaret said it was turnips, not radishes.
Margaret, do you remember, Margaret, do you remember doing that when we were young? You remember Mandy and the guy that lived next door to her with his big garden? Margaret was really, she wasn't but like 4 or 5 years old before we moved out of that house. So,
well, we could probably,
okay, maybe it was.
Maybe we could try beets too.
Oh, no, I'm not even going to experiment with beets.
I tried to eat a pickled beet one time because, my parents love them. So I thought, instead of just going, why don't you give it a try, Tanya? So it tasted like dirt. But, that was pickled. So maybe it doesn't taste like dirt if it's not pickled. I don't know.
Well, I'm on a roll here with the sweet potatoes and the Brussels sprouts. So, Stephen, horseradish is a whole different story. I like horseradish, but it's not something I eat plain. It's a little bit. I make my horseradish dip for the prime rib. My mom won't do a prime rib without a good horseradish dip, so I make that, and I've got a really good horseradish dip recipe that I've come up with that I really like. Maybe I'll post that sometime. I don't remember if I've shared that or not, but I use I use my microplane grater once again and mince that horseradish and put that in a 50-50 mix of. Actually, I think I just used sour cream, but there may or may not be a dash of Worcestershire sauce in my horseradish dip, so I'm not going to confirm nor deny that at this point.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, by the way, John, that was I looked it up. That was Tiago Coffee Bar and something. Hang on, I lost it.
it was right there at that
Yeah,
statue at the beginning of the Hollywood Star Walk. Uh,
yeah, it was Tiago Coffee Bar and Kitchen.
okay, that's where we had the potatoes that had lemon juice on them. So,
That was
yeah,
really good. And we made a new Pokemon buddy. So, hey, go go gadget.
yeah. All righty. Well, we're coming up on our hour mark. Does anybody have any questions for me? We're gonna keep this one to an hour tonight for sure. So let's see here. We've still got a pretty good crowd hanging out with us. I'm looking for a new smoker. I'm gonna add something to the Man Cave Party deck. I'm not sure what it's gonna be yet. Uh,
Well, I'm going to be honest with you, John. I don't care what you do, just as long as dinner is on the table every night like you did this week. It was my first week back to school, y'all, and I came home to delicious food every night.
there you go. Did I grill any? I didn't grill any of it either, did I?
Well, you did the smoked burgers.
Well, the smoked burgers, yeah.
And then one night we had sloppy joes, and then one night we had some
I've informed Tanya that we're going to be having burgers at least once a week for a while. So, yeah, Margaret, I need to get by there. I want to see those pots and pans. You guys, I posted somewhere, or no, that was on my Patreon page. I posted about the pots and pans. So I want to come by and look at those because I'm going to buy a set of those for myself. I'm so impressed with those. I can't wait to get them. Jonathan, I've had the. You think I should get the char grill or gravity? I've had both the master belts, so yeah, those do a great job. They really do. But I don't know if I'm going to bring another one of those here or not. It could happen, but I'm not sure. But now that you've sown that seed, I might have a look at it because I think the char griller has some advantages over the Masterbuilt. Tom, I can't afford anything that Deep South makes. I don't think. I'm looking at a price point of less than $1,500 for whatever I'm going to bring in here next. Deep South is that's Tom Cleveland kind of money right there. So,
oh, goodness.
I did have a look at the Old Hickory stuff today, and I went to their website to try to see what some of their home use stuff cost, and they didn't even have prices on it. And I didn't bother and send in the quote or send in the request for quotes. And Tom, I've been looking at the Gateway. I have had a look at the Gateway drum smoker. I'm thinking about that. Night, Margaret. I'm thinking about that. I'm thinking about. I've looked at the Weber Summit E6. I originally wanted the Backwoods Chubby cabinet gravity feed, but here's what I've learned about that. That's the one I really wanted because it's right in the price point I want, and there's apparently two different models of that thing out there. There's an American-made one, and then there's a Chinese-made one. The Chinese-made one is available, but there's a whole bunch of quality issues with the Chinese-made one. The American-made one can't be had right now for some reason or another, and there's no idea when it's going to be available. I talked to Mark Lambert about it a couple of weeks ago, and he said, the domestic one's a real unicorn right now, so that one's not going to happen. But the intel that I got on the Chinese version of it, there's all kinds of problems with the door hinge, and lots of people are having that problem. So that's not going to happen. Let's see. Fran has the Oklahoma Joe Bronco. The Oklahoma Joe's got one. I don't know what the Bronco is right off the top of my head, but Oklahoma Joe's got a stick burner that has caught my eye. It's about $500, and it's a reverse flow offset. Uh, that's a possibility, but I I don't know if I want something that I do realize, first of all, that the offsets produce the best tasting barbecue. I got no argument with that. I know it to be true because I've had an offset. Uh, the reason I don't think I want another offset is because it limits an offset limits when I can cook on it. Um, Anything that I'm going to cook on an offset is going to take a long time to cook, and I've got to be available for it during that whole time because you have to feed an offset every 30 or 45 minutes. And okay, yeah, the Oklahoma Joe is a drum smoker. If I buy a drum smoker, if I buy a drum smoker, I'm going to buy the Gateway. I've already made up my mind. If I bring another drum over here, that's what I want to do. Okay, Tom, I might take you up on that because that's the other reason I'm hemming and hawing about a Gateway drum smoker. I have built three ugly drum smokers in my time in this hobby, but I've never built one well enough that I wanted to keep using it. I'm not a good builder. I'm horrible at building stuff and having it exactly like I want it. The the
This is
Gateway
true.
drum, yeah, the Gateway drum smoker is extremely well built, but that by the time I get that here, that smoker's $900, and I'm going to have to spend another $100 to get it shipped. So it's going to cost me $1,000 to get it here, and I know that there's the materials that go into putting that together. There's $200 worth of stuff there, if even that, and I'm really choking on it. But that's a possibility. Yeah,
And they
you're
are
right.
ugly.
But man, but short of the stick burner, Tom, the drum smokers produce the best tasting barbecue. But short of the stick, and I'll say short of the stick burner and the like the Master Built or the Char Grill or Gravity series, those produce some amazing barbecue. But the drum is the next one down the list. And Janice, I had a pit barrel cooker. Uh, Back when Pit Barrel first came along, before I was affiliated with Kamado Joe, Noah, the gentleman that owns Pit Barrel Cooker, sent me one of those, and I did some promotional stuff on it. So I've cooked on the Pit Barrel. The Pit Barrel is not exactly an ugly drum smoker. It's a little different. It does the Pit Barrel's really good at some things, and it's not really good at other things. And I would rather have a fully designed drum smoker. And if you go look at the Gateway drum smokers, you'll see what I mean. They're expensive, but they're like a Phillips head screwdriver. They're designed to do exactly what they do, and they do it really well. Uh, the reason I like this smoker is because the when you're using an ugly drum smoker, the way it's designed to be used, you don't have a heat deflector between your meat and the fire. If you're cooking on the top rack of an ugly drum smoker, you've got 22 or 24 inches between the meat and the firebox where the charcoal's smoldering down there. And you've got some fat dripping into that fire, and it's producing some amazing flavor. And this is another pet peeve I have in the Kamado community. There are an awful lot of people in the Kamado community that have this notion that fat dripping into the fire is making a bad flavor, and it's not. I've I used to use drip pans in my Kamados just to help with the cleanup, but over time I have gotten away from that. I let that fat drip because it's making a flavor that you don't get any other way. And I think in the Kamado community, there's too many people in the Kamado community that have had the concept of white smoke is bad beaten into their head so much that if there's white smoke coming out of their grill, it's making their food taste bad, and it's all up here. White smoke that's created by fat dripping on the fire is not making your food taste bad. It's white smoke from improperly seasoned or improperly burning wood chunks. It's making your food taste bad. And I've I know enough of this from experience. I've done it enough. I've seen it, and the best tasting meat I've ever had come off my grills are when the fat's dripping into the fire or dripping onto like the slow roller, for instance, in the Kamado Joe Classic 3 with the slow roller. I'm letting that fat drip onto the slow roller where it's going to smoke. Uh, that fat's going to vaporize and aerosolize, and some of that's going to come back up and adhere to your meat, and it's bringing a flavor that you don't get if that's not happening. And I don't understand it. I'd like to set up, a blind taste test between these folks that believe that that's bad and let them taste it, taste it out and compare it to, it's when you taste meat that's cooked that way, it's a game changer, and the Kamado can do that. The only problem with the Kamado is you don't have enough space between your grill grate and your charcoal to not have a heat deflector. And with an ugly drum smoker, we're talking ugly drum smokers, a 55-gallon drum. You've got enough space where you can have that big gap. And when you've got 24 inches or more between your meat and the fire, it's just like cooking indirect. It's just like you do have a heat deflector, but there's not actually a heat deflector there. But yeah, now that I'm talking about this, it's making me want the drum smoker even more. So Gateway, just like everybody else in this pandemic ridden planet right now, is 8 weeks out on delivery. So if I buy one, I might see it by the end of the year. So we'll think about it. I want something different. I really wanted to buy something else that they sell at Atlanta Grill Company. And the Janice, I think you brought up one of you guys brought up the new PK grill. That's probably going to happen. I'm waiting for Atlanta Grill Company to get the new Aaron Franklin version of that grill, and when they have that, I'm going to go down there with this new video camera that I've bought, and I'm going to make some video. I'm going to make 2 videos that day. I'm going to make a walk around tour of Atlanta Grill Company itself with this new cool camera that I've got, and then I'm going to do a side by side. I might even be able to be the first guy in the neighborhood to do a grill comparison of the original PK, the updated PK, and then the Aaron Franklin all side by side. I can go down to Atlanta Grill Company and do that in their showroom. The original PK grill has been around for a long time. It's been around for 50 years or longer. And I wanted one until I looked at one up close, and then I didn't want it because it had some features that I didn't care for. When the PK 360 came out, I said, I'm going to have one of those. And it wasn't long till I got one. And so I've got the PK 360. I don't need the Aaron Franklin model. I don't need the new basic model. I've got the PK Go. That PK Go, that portable one's amazing, man. I love that little grill. I love cooking on it. Some of the burger cooks that I'm going to do coming up are going to be done on that PK Go because it's the really right grill for cooking burgers. And we're going to do some of that. So, guys, like I said, if you've got any ideas, if you got any suggestions on stuff you think I should look at for bringing a new smoker or a new grill in here, let me know. And keep in mind, this is probably something that I won't be doing video content on. It's just going to be something that I cook on here when I'm cooking for myself and cooking for my family. But yeah, the Franklin. Yeah, Janice, that Franklin model. It's not that I'm a big, huge fan of Aaron Franklin, but Franklin's a trendsetter, man. That guy, Aaron Franklin, has single-handedly made the pink butcher paper industry millions of dollars. I tried it. I've got somewhere around here. I've got a roll of pink butcher paper. Tanya, tell them what I've been doing with my pink butcher paper. You're on the spot.
I will. John wraps a mean present using the pink butcher paper.
That's what I use my pink butcher paper for. I don't wrap briskets and butts in it. I've been using it to wrap Christmas presents for the last couple of years.
Yep. Birthday presents and
Yeah,
anniversary
I'm,
presents.
I'm not a fan of the pink butcher paper process. I've read all the hype. I've read all the stuff, and I keep wrap. I'm using foil. Foil's cheaper. The main problem I've got with pink butcher paper is it's a mess to deal with. It's messy. I don't want the mess. And up until Aaron Franklin showed up on the scene, none of these competition barbecue cooks ever had any problem with aluminum foil, and I still don't have any problem with aluminum foil. If you let your bark set before you wrap the meat, you're not going to have problems with your bark when it's done. So I said that, and Steven says people love magic stuff. You're right, they do. And
It lays
you
a
know,
lovely paper, y'all. It really does.
there'll be another big thing at some point, but pink butcher paper that doesn't do anything for me. Save your money. Aluminum foil is also cheaper than pink butcher paper. So, Steven,
Incidentally, aluminum
start
foil.
wrapping your Christmas gifts in it, Steven. It's a good wrapping paper because it's durable. It's way better than this stuff. I bought some wrapping paper last year up at this Dollar General up here, and I think I've seen toilet paper that's stronger than that stuff. So the pink butcher paper makes great wrapping paper. I
Incidentally, so
wrapped
does aluminum foil.
I wrapped everybody's Christmas gifts last year and I think the year before in pink butcher paper. All right, now I've gone over. So guys, y'all have a good weekend. Tanya and I got to get some dinner. We're running behind tonight because we've been out traveling.
Yeah, we've been gallivanting around this afternoon.
I went to work. I went to. It was take your husband to work day.
It was.
I think at Tanya's job. Tanya had to go in today just for an hour, so I went with her and we did a little running around while we were out. So have a good weekend. And once again, I want everybody to send Stephen Hickey messages and request that he come on live with me because, oh man, we could have such a good time.
Stephen, please help me. I'm so
all right,
tired of
guys,
hearing about it.
until
Please come
next
on the
week.
show.
Until next week, y'all have a good one.